So, ladies and gentlemen, the border crisis has reached a boiling point, and guess who's finally decided to show up? That's right, our very own border czar, Kamala Harris. After years of neglect, she's suddenly trying to look tough on immigration, but we're not buying it, and neither should you. We're going to expose her last-minute border visit for what it really is, a desperate attempt to salvage plummeting poll numbers. So get ready for a shocking revelation of hypocrisy and political maneuvering. Now, folks, while we're talking about border security, let's discuss another critical issue, your financial security. Our nation's debt has skyrocketed past $35 trillion. The government's borrowing just to pay interest, digging us deeper into a financial hole. Meanwhile, gold prices are soaring. Smart investors are moving from paper money to what our Constitution defines as real money, gold and silver. If you've got funds sitting in a low interest account, it's time to call Global Gold Investments. That number's on the screen, 888-700-4148. Mention Next News for VIP treatment and a free 2024 Wealth Protection Guide. Don't wait. Secure your financial future today. Okay, so obviously, Kamala, she went to the border on Friday, and it's wild. There's a big story right now. Non-citizens are now going to be arresting citizens in Minneapolis. Insurrection Barbie says this is the fall of the Roman Empire in real time. Kamala Harris also telling everybody we need to turn a page on
generation. Well, folks, it's time to turn the page.
I agree.
It's time to turn the page. America is ready to chart a new way forward.
Yep. We're going to do it with Donald Trump, not with Kamala Harris. Don Jr. and Tucker Carlson, they held their first, actually the final stop on the Tucker Carlson tour. And Don Jr. weighed in on the Kamala Harris border visit. Let's listen.
I said, she will tell you anything. I mean, she's going to crack down on the border. I mean, she was the border czar. I got fact-checked a couple, months ago when she was talking about it, because I was like, she's the border czar. If she wanted to do something about the border, they had the materials there, all the labor was paid for. They just said to the workers, they said, take the contract we gave you, it doesn't matter, leave the materials, we'll sell it for pennies on the dollar. Now she's going to be tough on the border?
Yeah, exactly. It's because she knows that her numbers are sinking. The Border Patrol Union has come out and said the Vice President Harris has ignored the border problem she created for over 3 years. She go down there for 20 minutes for a photo op and decides to repeat some of the things that the NPBC has said before. But again, where has she been in the last 3.5 years? And while she was there, she had a perfect outfit. She paired her $62,000 Tiffany necklace with workwear, a field jacket at the border, to talk about the 13,000 convicted murderers that she let into the country. Let's listen to what she had to say in that $62,000 necklace.
I've been here. And as president, I will work with Congress to create, at long last, a pathway to citizenship for hardworking immigrants who have been here for years.
No, they just want a system that works for the Democrat Party by importing all these new votes because their policies don't work and people are fleeing the Democrat Party in droves, so they have to import new voters. Just a day ago, she said, as president, I will secure our border, disrupt the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, and work to fix our broken system of immigration. And here is the beautiful photo op she took while she was there. Yeah, Kamala Harris means business. Her first trip to the border and her entire time in this administration as the border czar. And it's just a month out or so from the election. Oh, she means business now, folks. You better believe everything she says. What a joke. Meanwhile, Robert Sterling points out Kamala Harris has never cared about the border until she realized it would cost her the election. In the past 2 days, she's tweeted about the border 15 times. Prior to that, though, she had just a total of 9 since taking office. She's getting crushed on this, and she knows it. You can see here's the chart of all of the posts that she's made. 2021, she made 2 posts. 2022 and 2023, no posts at all regarding the border. But now, 2024, she made 7 and then 15 just recently. Kamala Harris on illegal immigrants. They're American in every way.
And as president, I will work with Congress to create, at long last, a pathway to citizenship and deserve to have a system that works. I also have in mind our dreamers, I have met with so many of our dreamers throughout my career. They who have grown up in the United States, were educated here, pay taxes here, serve in our military, and contribute to our communities every day. They are American in every way. But still, they do not have an earned pathway to citizenship.
Looking for votes. She is going after those votes. Meanwhile, an Arizona rancher, Timothy Clump, responds to Kamala Harris' border speech. Let's get a response from an actual man.
It is a little frustrating because it's funny that Donald Trump had the border secure, and then she had control of. Then she gets in power and gets rid of everything that Donald Trump did, and then she says that the reason that she can't secure the border is because she needs a bill. So I'd like to ask her, what bill is it that you used in Congress to get rid of Donald Trump's border wall stuff, because it actually worked, you know?
It was executive orders. They made Joe sign a bunch of paperwork, and it just stripped out everything Trump did. So you're a rancher down there. What have you seen? What have you witnessed in the last couple years because of this policy?
It's just been chaos. It was real bad. It was real bad before Donald Trump got elected the first time. Well, the only time with Obama, they stopped processing people. So people would just run through every single day. It'd just be, you'd see so many people, like up to 50 people a day until the election. And the minute that Donald Trump got elected, everything just stopped. And he hadn't even taken over yet, but he had such a clear border policy that the people knew, I don't want to come, and they don't want me there. So then they seemed like they just stayed out. And then it was like, as soon as Donald Trump got out of office, the spigot just turned right back on. And then they say, and it was funny too, because they always say they need more Border Patrol agents, but they will always put the Border Patrol agents out inside of the inland of our state and our county of Cochise County. But whenever Donald Trump was there, the Border Patrol agents were actually on the border. They were on the border, right there next to the border.
Imagine the Border Patrol agents are on the border. What a brilliant idea.
I liked it. It was nice because nowadays, a lot of times, like my brother, he got in a collision whenever he got in the middle of one of those high-speed chases off the border, and they put out these strips, the nail strips, and my brother had his whole family, 3 little babies inside of his car and his wife. The car got totaled. The Border Patrol, they don't want to pay for it, and the guy that was drug running, he didn't want to pay for it either because he got away, and it's hard to, get a coyote to give you money for your car.
No kidding. What a mess.
It's just chaos.
What an absolute mess. I'm surprised Kamala didn't wear a hat like yours when she was down there just to play the part.
No, she had that $62,000 necklace. Sarah Carter was down there also, and she was in Cochise County, the same county that farmer is from, and chatting with folks. Let's listen to what she had to encounter.
And guess who else? Good afternoon, everyone on X. I'm here in Cochise County, Arizona. I'm at the Cochise County Fair, and guess who else is here in Arizona? Yes, very soon, Kamala Harris, Vice President, will be landing here. I think this is her first time, maybe her second time getting close to the border, but not really at the border. There's a lot of folks here that are really upset about the fact that she's coming now. They feel this is a dog and pony show and that she's only doing it for political purposes. I hope you join me tonight on that Sean Hannity. Yes, go to Sean Hannity tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Trump War Room posting that people believe that the Biden-Harris administration has rightly failed them. The acting ICE director sent a letter to Tony Gonzalez saying that 663,000 illegal aliens inside the U.S. have a criminal history. Let's see how CNN is spinning this.
1,000 have been. People believe that the Biden-Harris administration rightly has failed them. I don't know if your viewers are familiar. The letter, the acting ICE director sent a letter to Tony Gonzalez that says, I want to get it straight here. Of the 7 million illegal migrants in this country, 663,000 of them have criminal histories. 13,000 have been convicted of homicides. 16,000 of sexual assault. 1,800 still face criminal charges for homicide. These are people that ICE has detained but had to let go because of the current system. It is a huge issue in this country. Americans have had enough of it, and that's why she's there tonight. She's realized that they've broken the system, and they need to do something to try to fix it in the last 40 days. Get on.
Talk about a red pill on CNN. Just in just over a year, Tren de Aragua, the violent South American gang originating from Venezuela prison, has infiltrated New York City, taking advantage of the migrant crisis to establish a foothold within city shelters and neighborhoods. This is all on Kamala Harris's watch. Let's listen to what this
of our cops
officer has to say.
To the city. We're not new to gangs or crews in the city, so this is our newest crew. And what's alarming about this crew is that their conspiracy to commit crimes touches a lot of areas, from retail theft to extortion to robberies to human trafficking, and the worst, they've shot 2 of our cops.
Yeah, this crew is bad news, and now they're sounding the alarm. On a vicious Venezuelan gang operating on the streets of New York City, you might remember that one of its members was charged in the attack on several officers in Times Square earlier this year. Now the gang is taking advantage of the Big Apple's sanctuary city status by taking root in local migrant shelters, and that's where it begins. Brian Yenis, New York City, at one of the shelters right now. Brian, hello.
It's all starting at the migrant shelters. Unreal.
Bill, good morning. Behind me is the largest of those 200 migrant shelters in New York City. And inside these shelters, the NYPD tells Fox that the new Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, or TDA, is actively recruiting new members. They are selling drugs, particularly something called pink cocaine, and they're smuggling in guns through food delivery services to avoid metal detectors.
Wow.
We did see some intelligence that was been reported that sometimes they were smuggling guns in through food cartons. So yes, do we believe there's guns in the shelters that have a gang affiliation? Absolutely. Do we believe that they were being smuggled in? Absolutely.
The NYPD says there are hundreds of TDA gang associates citywide, and they are not afraid to shoot at cops. They say in June, a gang member on a moped shot and wounded 2 NYPD officers. Earlier this year in Times Square, the NYPD says a 15-year-old suspected gang member shot a tourist in the leg and fired at a police officer while shoplifting. Tren de Aragua, or TDA, has its strongest foothold in the city in Queens, where the NYPD raided a 24-hour migrant brothel last week.
There is intel that they are part of human trafficking in Queens.
Human trafficking?
Human trafficking to the extent, again, I got your family here, now you have to pay me, and you're going to pay me in this fashion.
By forced prostitution?
Correct. They're in the drug trade, they're in the gun trade, they're in the extortion trade. There's been rumors of, or intel that they're extorting vendors on the
Thank you, Kamala Harris, for importing that. Stephen Miller says it takes a special kind of inequity to pledge amnesty and citizenship for all illegal aliens in the middle of a record border invasion as Americans are being blank, blank, and blank. She went down to the border to tell the world, invade us and we will make you citizens. Stephen Miller went on Fox. Never in my worst nightmare could imagine a day where I could be sitting here talking to you about a government releasing 425,000 convicted criminals into the country.
My worst nightmare, Larry, in my entire life of working on this issue, studying this issue, spending time with our ICE agents, our Border Patrol agents, I never, in my worst nightmare, could imagine a day when I would be sitting here talking to you about a government releasing 425,000 convicted criminal aliens into the country, including 13,000 homicide cases and 15,000 rape cases. In any other government, in any other country, it would sink that government. In Canada, in the UK...
Well, that's the plan. The plan is to destroy this country from within.
In France, in Italy, in any of those countries, a government that released half that many, a quarter that many, an eighth that many, they would all be forced to resign. And their party wouldn't be returned to power for at least a decade or more. The only reason Kamala Harris is able to even continue running after a bombshell like this is because she is protected by the legacy media. There is no defending a scandal of this magnitude. It is beyond our comprehension, Larry.
It is. And of course, yes, he's right. The media is complicit in these crimes against the United States. They simply they paint her as this beautiful candidate who gives all these rosy platitudes and promises, but yet the corruption is so rotten and so deep. The media is 100%. They are accomplices to the crime. In case you don't remember, this is the moment when Kamala Harris was appointed.
Administration. I've asked her, the VP, today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks stemming the migration to our southern border. So this new surge we're dealing with now started with the last administration, but it's our responsibility to deal with.
Blame Trump.
Humanely, and to stop what's happening. And
of course they never made it. It never stopped. Laura Loomer 2 days ago called them Kamala's. Oh, I can't even say that here. Kamala Harris supports blank. Trump says Kamala Harris let Americans be blanked and blanked by monsters. The numbers don't lie. Kamala Harris does. Average southern border crossings. The blue line represents border czar Kamala Harris. The red line represents Trump. Look at that. Month over month, you can see the difference is stark. And this is great. This is great. This was going viral. I got to share this with you right now.
It is wrong to somehow suggest that an undocumented immigrant is a criminal. Being an undocumented immigrant is not a crime. I know what a crime looks like. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
That's the very definition of it. Kamala? It's the very definition of it. Oh, these people. I can't even comprehend the gaslighting and the destruction that comes out of these people's mouths, the deception and lies. And then she goes down to the border for a photo op because she knows her campaign is in the toilet.
Undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented.
And it goes on and on and on. Kamala, who has spread false smears against Border Patrol agents, opposed their funding, and couldn't be bothered to meet with their chief, is now praising them 39 days before the election. She is a total fraud.
Madam Vice President, can you share what the agents at the last stop talked about?
They've got a tough job, and they need rightly support to do their job. And they work long hours. They're very dedicated, and so I'm here to talk with them about what we can continue to do to support them and to also thank them for the hard work they do.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kamala. Thanks for nothing. Kamala Harris arrived at the border for the first time since 2021. 20 million people later. Top Kamala Harris surrogate Jim Clyburn absurdly claims that securing the border will be a top priority for Kamala if she wins. Again, the clip we played at the beginning with Don Jr. and Tucker. Well, you do it now. Do it now. Show the people you mean business and take action so that you can at least show that you're doing something. Then you might inspire some voters, Kamala.
Or her administration. So if Vice President Harris becomes president, do you believe immigration will be a top priority for her administration?
Oh, I think immigration has been a top priority for every administration since I've been in the Congress, and that's 30 years now.
Oh, yeah. Don't allow Kamala Harris' photo op at Trump's border wall to trick you. The reality is Kamala Harris has been an has an awful record as border czar. Every Democrat senator up for re-election from a critical battleground state runs away when asked about border czar Harris's record. Trump, there's no greater act of disloyalty.
What's happening is not sustainable by any country. What's happening to us in the United States, millions and millions of people, 21 million plus, have been dumped into the United States, and many of them are murderers. Many of them are horrible criminals. What Kamala Harris has done is unforgivable. It's a crime what she did. It's got to be criminal. There's no greater act of disloyalty than to extinguish the sovereignty of your own nation, and that's what she's done. She's ruined our nation. She's
ruined our nation, 100%. Harris Biden ICE director admits over 425,000 known convicted criminal illegal immigrants have been released into the U.S. She's already released 13,099 illegals who were criminally convicted. You can see it on the screen there. I don't even like saying these words. It disgusts me to utter these phrases. Look at that. I write down on the screen. 15,811 convicted of what? Yeah. This is treason. Here are the numbers right there in black and white. See it for yourself. Under Kamala, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. The patriots that serve in ICE were forced to release 7 million illegals as their cases are processed. 663,000 illegals with criminal histories. There again, you can see it on the screen. These are the real numbers. Oh, but now this clip was circulating about a week or so ago. All this information, they were instructed to hide it from the public. Well, we're releasing it now.
Once word was out in San Diego, we had an exponential increase in significant interest aliens. These are aliens with significant ties to terrorism. Prior to this administration, the San Diego sector averaged 10 to 15 SIA arrests per year. Once word was out the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more than that registered this year. These are only the ones we caught. At the time, I was told I could not release any information on this increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests. The administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border. Fentanyl.
The fact that they would hide that information from the American people is an absolute act of treason. It is a violation of national security and your personal safety that they hid this information from you intentionally. Don't you have a right to know if there's a threat in your town? And where do these people go when they're released into the country? Where do they end up? They end up in New York, starting gang strongholds, Chicago, Ohio.
Another issue. The San Diego area sees between 80 and 90% of the methamphetamine and fentanyl seizures annually for our entire country. With little enforcement at the border, these drugs were coming through en masse. During my last year in San Diego, the price for a single pill of fentanyl, for example, went from $10 to 25 cents. To make matters worse, during 2022 and 23, I had to shut down San Diego traffic checkpoints, which are critical for drug interdiction, because the resources had been diverted to the process and release mission. The large numbers also had and still have a negative impact on the San Diego community. I had to release illegal aliens by the hundreds each day into communities who could not support them. To quiet the problem, 2 flights a week were provided from San Diego to Texas. These flights simply brought aliens that would have been released in San Diego over to Texas. Wow. Each flight cost approximately $150,000. This was the administration's way to try and quiet the border-wide crisis. In San Diego,
wow.
We had an exponential.
So they were just flying them right to Texas on the taxpayer dime. But of course, Kamala Harris, she finds the time to go get a photo op. You know, all the video here, it's all going to end up in campaign commercials for Kamala Harris. That she's tough on the border. But I mean, anybody who's been paying attention knows that this is all a lie. Sadly, though, there are millions of Americans walking around with Harris Walls t-shirts believing these lies. That's the scariest thing, that people actually believe it. And we're here presenting you this information, giving you the ammunition so you can combat the lies and push back against these false narratives. That is our job as Americans. I don't care what party you belong to. This is about securing our border and securing our nation. And if you don't stand up with us, then you obviously don't care about this country. You don't care about the American flag. You don't care about the red, white, and blue. You don't care about the Constitution. You're part of the problem. Kamala Harris' campaign is in damage control mode today to mitigate the numbers from the border that came out that show she personally allowed over 13,000 people and 15,000 others. I don't even like saying these words. To illegally cross our border. Here she is. Look at this post. This is from Kamala's HQ. Unearthed footage. Attorney General Kamala Harris 13 years ago announces dozens of arrests in a transnational gang takedown. Okay, well, 13 years ago. What about now? What about what about all these people at the border you just let in? You're not taking action against those people. So you got to pull up footage from 13 years ago, Kamala? Give me a break. New York Post, Harris makes first visit to southern border. Elon Musk pointing out this is criminal. This is criminal. ICE report reveals Biden-Harris administration let in 425,000 illegal immigrants who are convicted criminals.
Undetained docket. Yeah, and Sandra, bear with me. We just got these numbers moments ago, but it's a jaw dropper to say the least. So to set the stage here, let me just explain what these numbers mean. ICE has something called a non-detained docket. Essentially what that is it means migrants who were encountered by DHS but are no longer in federal custody. So who's on this non-detained docket? It's illegal immigrants who were caught and released at the border, released with the court date years away. They're in immigration proceedings, combined with illegal immigrants who have already been ordered, deported from the country by a judge, but are still here roaming the country. So keep that in mind, this non-detained docket. According to a letter that the acting director of ICE just sent to Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez, on ICE's non-detained docket, they're currently tracking 425,000 non-citizens who have been convicted of a crime. Of that number, over 13,000 non-citizens have convictions for homicide and are on the non-detained docket, meaning they're roaming the country right now. On top of that, there are another 15,811 non-citizens convicted of sexual assault who are roaming.
Okay, so look at those numbers. Look at those numbers you see right there on the screen. What are the chances of those people committing those crimes again? They're in this country, roaming free because they believe that they're in a sanctuary city. And those numbers right there. There is going to be a wave of crime like we have not seen. And we've already seen a lot of crime increasing with respect to these migrant crimes. But when you see the numbers on the screen, it takes it to a whole nother level. Those are over 15,000 individual people that could be a threat to someone you love. 13,000 that could kill someone you love. But of course, Kamala Harris, she thinks that Trump's border wall was a vanity project.
Folks, on the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them. And folks, on the...
Yeah, you know what's medieval? Is her letting these people into the country like that.
We know the arguments, right? The White House, and look at that, Kamala Harris looking through the border wall there, down on the southern border. I don't know what specific agency she's with there, probably CBP, Customs and Border Protection. The media that is traveling, we know the arguments, right?
Does it make you sick? It makes me furious. So there you have it. Kamala Harris, the so-called border czar, has finally remembered her job description. But is it too little too late? Her sudden tough stance on immigration reeks of desperation and political calculation. So as we head into this crucial election, we must ask ourselves, can we trust someone who only acts when their political future is on the line? What do you think? Is Harris genuinely committed to securing our borders, or is this just another political charade? Sound off in the comments below.